Sammi, Peony, and I'm a dental therapist and aesthetic practitioner on the South Coast. I would say the person who's had the greatest influence on me, especially growing up, would be my mum. So she's a firefighter and she also run a farm. She's been a cook. She's done a million jobs and still tried to juggle life and children, and I think that's been really inspiring. My biggest pet peeves, I would say, would be people that take a long time to finish a story, or they just waffle on, which I'm quite good at. Probably people who get angry in traffic jams, and probably really slow internet, which annoys me more than anything in the world. I would say probably the fact that I played the piano from about 5 years old until I was 16. I don't think many people know about that. And I also played the violin for about 10 years as well, with lessons before I kind of just do that occasionally now, if it's tuned. I think if I could be anywhere right now, I would probably be in Norway watching the Northern Lights with my boyfriend. That will happen one day, eventually.
That's sooner than you think.
That's a hint.
Yeah.
My biggest icon in history would be Princess Celine. She's Cleopatra's daughter, so Cleopatra Celine II. I think she's really inspirational because she got taken away from Egypt where she grew up. She got taken to Rome. You know, as a child, her life was completely changed around, and she turned out to be a massive ally of Rome itself, from being basically a bit of a threat initially, and she ends up having an incredible life, became a queen of her own country just from really her determination to stay alive. And I think that even though we've come on a long way from ancient Rome, you can definitely apply a lot of those traits to modern day times. On my bucket list, especially, well, do you mean like right now, or do you mean sort of any time?
Yeah, just any time.
On my bucket list, I would love to go to Pompeii, and because I would love to see all the drawings and the history from that. I would love to go to the giant causeway in Ireland, and I think I would just like to explore a little bit more around Scotland, just take some time out just to see the real side of things. I think it's important with work, we just spend all our time being busy and stressed, and I think it's good to be able to see what's around you a bit more, the nature.
Okay.
I would say my goal for the next year would be to finalise and finish setting up our equestrian company that we're doing, alongside working obviously in dentistry, so it's always good to have side hustles, but that's probably the biggest project right now.
Okay.
Okay, so if I was on a long haul flight and I walked up to the seat and the person who's like in the tiny seat next to me, I'd want it to be Lucy Worsley, who's a historian, because she's done my favourite documentaries, all done by her. She just knows so much about the Tudors and about like medieval life, and she dresses up as the Tudors and like an old sort of, you know, the old caps and stuff, and I just think it's amazing. So I think that she would be so fun to like hear everything she knows and just pick her brain, and I think, you know, that it would just go so quickly if she was there. I probably could only go a month without my phone, and that's if it was like stolen away from me. No, I could go ages without sweets for sure. I mean, that's such a lie, isn't it? I eat sweets every day. But still, like, that's a long time to go without a phone. Will got me a copy of like this book for my birthday, and I'd read it as a child, and I was like, I just knew in my head, and you tracked it down, didn't you? And
yeah.
It was like the most emotional thing, but yeah, that's, we need to mention that childhood book. I would say I would be happiest out exploring, seeing somewhere new, even if it's just in the forest, or probably with my horse. That does make me very happy.
What's your horse called?
My horse is called Pluto.
Pluto.
So I feel really passionate about homeless oral health issues. So I did 3-year research project on it, which I researched into how important they really believed cleaning their teeth were and things like that. And it worked out that people who actually worked in the centres, if they didn't think it was a high priority for the individuals that lived there, then they weren't offering the products, rather than they just assume that, you know, oh, they're homeless, they don't want it. Well, really, you know, there's a massive range of reasons why people become homeless, and, you know, it can just be the case of, you know, you've lost your house, things like that. It's not just because, you know, certain things have happened, you know, with drugs or anything like that. And I think there's such an issue when it comes to that, of typecasting. So I'd love to do further research into that. Yeah, I feel really passionate about that, actually. I would say a few years ago, and I was just really fed up. I wanted to change everything. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and my mum said to me, well, just stop then. Just, you know, just give up with it. And so when you go for someone for advice, you expect them to be like, oh no, we'll find a way around it. But when they just almost go along with what you say and they're like, okay, fine, quit then. And it, honestly, I think it works so much better than being told to keep doing it, because at that point you think, you know what, I'm gonna go for it, and I'm gonna change it around. So I think that's always stuck with me. So every time I think now that if I can't do something, I think, well, I just give up then. I think actually it's not an option. So that was probably the best piece of advice I've been given. Okay, so if I was a superhero, I know it's gonna be food related. So I can't have dairy or gluten because I'm intolerant to it. So I would have this power where I would like touch it and suddenly it would be just as tasty and good, but it would all be dairy and gluten free. And so it meant that I could eat anything I want, I didn't react to it.
Okay.
There's a selfish superhero power, but most of the time you can't tell with superheroes, can you? They're like secret superheroes, so that would be my role.
Absolutely.
So I would say my favourite like cheesy movie would be Warm Bodies, where most of the cast are zombies. There are a few living people, but then the girl falls in love with the zombie, and it's like just so beautiful in a really messed up way. And so I don't know if that class is cheesy, but it is such a cute film. Highly recommend it. Check it out. We should watch that later. That's such a good film.